So this is the second part of Chapter Two's audio files. And in this section, we're going to talk about roughly the second half of Chapter 2, which deals with a number of competing theories that at some point have tried to challenge this understanding of human freedom, challenge the fact that people aren't inherently free. They fall under one of these either competing theories or ideas, and those competing theories and or ideas form the backbone of your actions are this, this, or this. So basically, we're going to look at this idea of naturalism. We're going to talk about religious determinism, social determinism, and talk a little bit about artificial intelligence as well. So basically, when you look at naturalism, we're talking about the fact that the sum of your biological genetic parts make up who you are and therefore dictate the actions and choices you're going to be able to make in your life. So you were born to a family where mom and dad are shorter, your genes probably are going to turn around and make you a shorter person, and that's going to therefore dictate what you can or can't do. That's in a nutshell what naturalism is in a very basic way. The fact that when you look at mom and dad, if you were to, take an idea or, sample of their intelligence, you'd have an idea of how intelligent you're going to be based on that. Therefore, it becomes this overarching framework that your biology determines what you are, how you act, what you can say, what you can do. In other words, it becomes de facto the replacement for freedom, which doesn't take you very long to move throughout even recent history, where you're going to find people who have overcome, quote unquote, either physical or mental limitations in some way, shape, or form to go on and achieve great things that far outstrip the sum of your biological parts. And that all comes back to, again, people's ability and human freedom, to be able to be free to exercise that agency, to be an agent in your own life, and therefore, be in control of what you're going to do or not do. Okay. How that ties in with artificial intelligence is the fact that there is science's way of trying to use technology to recreate the human mind, the human brain. So then you get into this idea of a mind-brain distinction. So your brain's a biological machine, and then we talk about the mind as being something on that psychological, metaphysical side of that. And artificial intelligence has always tried to emulate the mind, to think and act like a human. And most of you have experience with that via either games on your phone or video games on a console. You'll always hear people talk about the AI being really smart or not so smart. We use terms that we would use for human beings who exercise freedom. We want the program to be just like us. We want to be able to engage in, even with machine technology that emulates what we do, not thinks exactly the way we do, but thinks like a human being and reacts that way. And science has come close to emulating that, but cannot completely copy it, to the sense that you are not going to sit down one day, at least not in the near future, start playing some kind of game and not realize you're not playing against some kind of human opponent. It's not there. Hence why AI, artificial intelligence, comes into that idea of naturalism. Instead of it being biological sum of its parts, it's a technological sum of its parts. From that theory, the textbook moves into discussing two other theories, two deterministic theories. They are religious determinism and social determinism. These two theories really rest on the fact that something determines how you're going to act and what you're going to do and the choices you're going to make. So when we talk about religious determinism, we'll talk about the fact that people will point to Christians, Catholics, and go, well, the church has an overarching set of rules, regulations, expectations, and therefore that really is what people, when they follow that, they somehow abrogate their agency or abrogate their freedom, which surprisingly there's flaws in that theory, because really when we look at what we are, when you look at, even from a religious perspective, we talk about our belief that we're somehow created in the image and likeness of God. The greatest gift we were ever given as human beings is our free will, our freedom, our ability to be free and choose and exercise agency, to be agents. That's the greatest thing God gave us. It's when we freely embrace those rules, freely embrace those restrictions. It's not a curtailing of freedom. It's really just setting boundaries for how we can act. You still have the freedom to act any way you'd like within those boundaries. That's really what freedom is. But some people have argued that you can't be free and be part of what people determine is a religiously deterministic system. Now, on the flip side of that deterministic coin is what people refer to as social determinism, and what they're talking about there is the fact that your home life, your neighborhood, the city that you live in, the educational opportunities you've had, all of those social elements are what create who you are. And when they create who and what you are, there really isn't, again, same idea, there isn't any freedom or isn't any agency. So, for all those people who've grown up and struggled economically, that should then turn around and mean that they're going to struggle economically. And you've seen people who managed to climb out of that. People manage to pull themselves up out of that because that's not what they want. Well, there's proof right there about freedom and agency, and not simply social determinism. Again, it's the fact that people believe some kind of societal set of constructs determines how you're going to act, who you're going to be, and what you're going to be able to do or not do. So that's the end of the chapter 2 material. Please remember that at the end of the chapter in the textbook, there's a glossary of key terms, and there's also a summary of some key ideas. So don't forget to check those out when you're doing your hot topics and your assignment.